Hello, welcome to Rough Cut Film Review. This is a review of The Conjuring. Very quick mention, the jingle contest is still open. Have a look at some of the recent videos to get the details, or email me on roughcutfilmreview@gmail.com. Firstly, I want to say that I think Henry Ford would be very proud of the horror industry at the moment. It's become incredibly industrialised. There must be a factory somewhere in Hollywood that pumps out picture after picture of these sorts of films. So since Paranormal Activity, the first one, if you can think that far back, because it seems like a long time ago, that became the most profitable film of all time, and people realise that if you make a ghostly chiller, you just need a few $1,000s, and as long as you whip up some buzz, you can literally make a couple of $100 million back. You don't need a star. The quality of these films isn't necessarily as important as in other films, and if you can get the Friday night crowd in, you'll make a killing on it, so to speak. I did actually recently watch the Paranormal Activity box set. I didn't really want to, but it's just one of those things. Sometimes you just have to watch things you don't really want to. After the first one, which I thought was sort of alright, it was dull beyond reproach, and then their pathetic attempts to make, to try and kid you into thinking that they had a plan all along to do this long plot. No, they didn't. It's just excuses to make more money. But I have enjoyed ghostly shockers recently. So, for example, The Awakening came out last year, and I enjoyed it. But there's been a seemingly endless procession of these identical films, or they seem identical, so Sinister, The Possession, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. These films don't have to be good, they don't have to be scary, and they don't have to be interesting, but they're following the same business model, and they make millions, regardless if even they review well, from the casual weekend moviegoer type. And if you're happy with the product that they're selling you, that's absolutely fine. They're not hurting anyone. But as a horror film fan, it feels like my currency is being downgraded by some dodgy speculators making these dodgy deals. And frankly, I get the impression that the posters for these films is far more important than any other factor to make these things money, because I think a lot of people that go and see these films don't know what's coming out. They don't know what the schedule's like, so they might go to the cinema, see the poster and go, oh, that looks scary, I'll see that. So really, I don't think it matters so much how well the film is made or how well it reviews. So fine, rant over to a certain extent. I've got to review The Conjuring. So plot-wise, we start off with a married couple. They're paranormal investigators, we're told, and right away we just have to accept that ghosts and demons exist. They just do. They're real. I'm sorry. They hint that some people may be skeptical, but hey, these things are real, man, and that's where the film's going. This is why you're here. There's mum, there's dad, there's some kids, generic children, exactly like in Paranormal Activity 17. One of the kids has an imaginary friend, and are they an imaginary friend? Oh, it's creepy. There's a creeping sense of threat here. Oh, it's getting more creepy. And it boils down to these married investigators. They have to save the kid and the wife and all sorts. They have to turn up to the farmhouse thing and do their thing and save stuff from stuff. They do offer some level of explanation as to why these things are happening, but not really with any level of conviction. You're there for the shocks, you're there for the thudding noise, and it's like the Pixies songwriting. It's the quiet verse, loud chorus thing of quiet, thud, crash, break. And actually, I don't find these films scary. I find them startling. It's just how loud the film is that sort of irritates me. This film is perfectly competent filmmaking, in all honesty, but there's little meat on the characters' bones. They're just so generic, the characters. There's no real explanation who they are. So as the peril ramps up, I really sort of shrug my shoulders. I'm not so bothered, really, to be honest. New horror films can be really good. So I love The Cabin in the Woods. I love the 2013 remake of The Evil Dead. So you could say, hey, that's not new, but sort of is. This is a film. The Conjuring is a film designed to make money. Whether you like this film or not, it is a very obvious thing to point out, but this film is not there for artistic merit. It's not here to make a point. This film is here to raise revenue. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but it needs to be understood and established. This is an established formula that we've seen for the last 5-10 years of filmmaking. And in a sense, if Billy Box Office and Jenny General Public are perfectly happy with these offerings, and the current score on IMDB rather implies that they are quite happy with this, and the box office takings for these films certainly imply that they're happy with this, and people keep going back. So it's not a flash in the pan. and these films have made a fortune over the last 5-10 years. It's not my cup of tea, but horror is a very large genre, and as long as there's room for the darker, nastier, more challenging horror films that I really, really like, then surely everyone can be happy. You have seen this film before. It's The Exorcist, and everything that's pillaged The Exorcist since that was so good, but it's toned down. It's not as interesting, it's fine, but you've seen it before. Any number of horror films are similar to this, but for example, I would have liked to see an ending where, spoiler alert, so if you're sensitive, please do turn down. I'd like to have seen an ending where it turned out that they were fraudsters, the Paranormal Activity type. It would have been lovely if it turned out they were hoaxing it, or just some sort of twist at the end there. But it doesn't. The film ends, sugary coated ending, but then, just as the credits were about to roll, the static camera pans and we get another little shot. Something. And I don't find these films scary so much as startling. Just, as I'm starting to nod off, bang, crash, wallop, and it's alright, fine. So I'm trying to be fair about it, because it's not designed for me. It's not designed for the gore hounds. It is what it is, and for what it is, it's perfectly perfunctory. Kind regards, Christopher Thomas.